Yeah, sorry, I had to unmute. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. Things are getting back to normal for me, so I'll probably be on more calls now.
Well,
Is
I
that really your field behind you?
Is that what?
Is that really your field behind you, your vineyard?
No, it's one of the vineyards I get grapes from. I just decided I'd try I haven't done a virtual background on blue jeans yet, so I thought I'd try it.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah.
It actually looks like someplace in Italy.
Yeah, it could be a million different places.
Yeah.
It's Cabernet Sauvignon, so wherever they grow Cab. Boucher Vineyard out in Yakima Valley.
I think it's Kent.
Yeah, yeah, right. I do have one grapevine in my backyard just for fun, but it doesn't look at all like that. It's pretty sad.
I was in Italy and they were offering me a bottle of wine, and they said, "This is from America." Apparently they thought I was German. And they said, "This is from America. It's an award-winning wine. You might really enjoy it. It's the same as Shell." And they started telling me it's from Washington State. And I said, "Well, it's 2 miles from my house. I think I know where it is. And yes, it is award-winning."
Right.
So I thought that was funny to be getting same as Shell wineries wine in Italy.
Yeah.
So I hope yours are going far and wide also.
Not that far, but far, far.
Well, Kathy, I just wanted to say thank you, and you have been so good to the chamber, which I'm the secretary of this year and treasurer next year. I get moved around. I mess
A man
things
with
up,
many talents.
but no, you have been such a good friend for small businesses in the community, and all the work that you're doing with relief efforts. And when I saw that Jason had reached out to you, I was like, oh, awesome. You joined, I would say, I think you've joined almost more than I have, the Wednesday call that the chamber puts on. You seem to always be there and supportive and answering questions. And so it's cool that we get to have you at Rotary while we don't have the same goals as the chamber. We do, want to help out our community, and we do help out our community. So it's cool that Jason got to get you on here. And like you said, this is your 13th Zoom call today. So I would imagine a few of the folks in here or where they work. And
I actually don't know everybody, so that would be fun to hear who they are.
yeah, Leroy, do you know Kathy?
Oh, I had to find my button. Sorry. No, we have not met. Kathy, I have not met you. I've listened to you. I've been in rooms with you, but we have not met.
Well, I'm glad we finally get you. And so what do you do, Leroy?
I draw pictures for a living. I'm an architect.
Uh-huh.
And I'm the past president. I was the president of Rotary last year. That's what I do. I do a little bit of everything. We do residential work, we do commercial work, we do public work. We just look for fun work.
Well, I hope that you're going to be designing many, many houses. We need to build 244,000 housing units between now and 2040. So I hope that you get your pencil sharpened and your CAD ready, and off you go.
Well, I am involved with the city of North Bend in a little bit of that. I do a lot of their design review work as an outside consultant. So I do get involved with a fair amount of what's going on here in North Bend.
Excellent. And I understand you're going to be having a carousel before very long.
Yes, yeah.
I can hardly wait. I am a carousel fan. So I grew up not far from Flashacker Zoo, where they had a carousel, and I just love carousels. So when I saw that they were getting one, I told the mayor, when the groundbreaking is happening, I definitely want an invitation. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure they won't think twice. I'm sure you'll get an invitation.
that's what he told me. I was on the list anyway, so I said, good.
Kathy,
Oh, that's great.
you know Beth Burrows from the North Bend Theater, owns,
Yes.
she's
Where is that?
instrumental in that. But I hear that you can actually sponsor one of the horses. I know I was going to get my face put on one of them. I don't know if that's going to pass or not.
On the head or on the backside of the horse? Which one?
That is exactly what I was thinking.
It would be a lot more fun if it wasn't.
Yeah,
So, are you
whenever you're
familiar?
having troubles with permits, there you go.
In North Bend or in the unincorporated area?
His office, he doesn't work all over the place, so.
Yeah, don't get me started with the unincorporated area. I know they've got some slowdowns over there, and I'm feeling the effect, but I'm sure, like everybody else, there's a whole nother thing going on out there, and everybody's trying to figure out how to get through it. So, an extra couple of months isn't going to hurt anybody this time, with this pandemic and all. That's the way I look at it.
Well, I appreciate that. It is definitely something that the staff is aware of and they feel bad about because they don't like getting backed up. Nobody likes your work to get backed up. So,
Yeah, sure.
yeah. So thank you.
Well, Kathy, this is Steve Walter. You were actually scheduled to come look at one of Leroy's projects. He built our administrative building, and we were going to have you out there to come visit at our utility, and then of course COVID hit, and kind of everything got thrown up in the air. But I can tell you firsthand, he does some good work, and we're the recipient of the work. We went from an old metal pole barn building that was built 50 years ago to a palace, as I like to call it. So we enjoy our facility and have lots of meeting rooms, but of course no meetings because you. But anyway,
Is the building to the right of City Hall?
no, we're a little further out by Trucktown. This is Tanner Electric Cooperative,
Oh, yeah.
and we're kind of on the backside of a lot, so we're next to Wood River. So if you look at right across the entrance from Wood River, you'll see a building that has great big trees, log pillars and stuff in it. That's our building.
Wonderful. Good.
If
Anyway,
not,
welcome.
Google.
Looking forward to hearing from you.
Google map it.
Monica, I don't think we've met.
Lucy,
I don't think we've met.
did you speak to me?
I did. And,
Oh,
and
okay. Sorry.
what do you do in your spare time?
What do I do in my spare time? Nothing much.
That's what everybody's doing right now during the pandemic. And there was yeah.
The days go by so quickly, I don't know, but it seems like I don't accomplish very much, so that's the way it is.
So I have my staff said, here, there's 21 pages of things you can tell them. And I'm like, oh, I'm sure they'll be really happy about that. So tell me what you would like to know about, and then I'll get into other things. Is there any particular topic that you're most interested in knowing about?
Well, I think, it'd be interesting to hear about some of you have more insight into 2 months from now. Where do you see things opening, closing, getting worse, getting better, more restrictions? Basically, there's not really many small business owners in here, but people that are all affected some way by small businesses that are, supposed to close their doors and go through that again. But how about some good news?
Well, good news would be a good thing to have. Yes, definitely. Well, there's going to be some more grants coming out. The Department of Commerce has really turned out to being a great department. And I was teasing them the other day because when I was in the legislature, it didn't matter what it was that was important. We'd say, give it to the Department of Commerce. If you really want it done right, give it to the Department of Commerce. Well, that's not really in their bailiwick. Doesn't matter. We'll make it in their bailiwick because we want it done right. And so anyway, I was teasing one of the department employees from the Department of Commerce, and he was laughing about it because he said, "The kind is how it works now." And I said, "But the good thing is you're doing them all right." And one of the things that I really like about the Department of Commerce is that in the early days of the pandemic, when we really, we were flying by the seat of our pants. We never had one of these before. What do you do? How much money is needed for this? And basically, when they started giving out the grants, they said, "Here's the criteria we've come up with." And he said, "I did it over the weekend. And so I'm sure it's not perfect. So if there's a part in here that you think shouldn't be in here, or should be strengthened, or should be changed, just call me and we will see what we can do to adapt." And that made me really happy because it showed me that the department had gotten the idea of servant leadership. And that's really important, that, we're all in this together, but the people that have the purse strings need to be listening to the people who are dealing with the things on the front line, our business community, our, everyday citizens, how they shop, what's going on. So they are putting out a new grant, and it will be $135 million of relief and recovery packages. So there'll be money, $20 million for early resiliency, $30 million for recovery loans, $20 million for rental assistance to the current eviction rent assistance program, $15 million in utility payments. So those will be the categories where the money will be becoming available. The governor said the other day he was going to be giving out $50 million, and I just about fell off my chair when I heard that, because we've just finished giving out $250 million in the unincorporated area of King County alone. So $50 million statewide was totally inadequate. And so I was really surprised. And then 2 days later, he said, no, the amount's $150 million. Again, not a lot compared to the need, but certainly more appropriate than the $50 million that was first announced. So there is some talk that the Congress is looking at extending the time that the money for the CARES money can be spent, and potentially opening up more money for government to be able to qualify for some more money to be able to give out to their businesses and to their citizens. So that would be good. Right now, we have to spend the money that the federal government gave us by December 30th, not December 31st, but by December 30th, which is a little odd. And so we got the report today that we believe in almost every category that the amount that was allocated will be spent. So the chambers have spent 75% of their money at this point, but they believe they'll have the full amount spent by the end of December. So there was money given to the chambers, to cities, to science, to live music entertainment, to digital equity, to Department of Local Services, to the courts to be able to set up a video operation. And that has been really important because we are 9,500 cases behind right now. So we have a large number of people sitting in jail that aren't able to get to court right away because of such a huge backlog. But having to be able to be done by video has been very good. They've been doing a lot of jury interviews, which has been really good because people don't have to come in anymore, and they believe that some of the things that they're learning that are much more convenient will be carried on in the future. So, if you have jury duty, you may be able to do it online, and then if you're chosen, then you come in. So I think, that out of every tragedy, there are some good things that show up. And so streamlining some of our courts may indeed be part of that. There are concerns that we found out this afternoon that we thought we were going to have $15 million for some of our public health services, but we found out that 12 million of that actually isn't money that will be available. So we're working with the state on how we're going to deal with that. So we have opened up the quarantine sites, which you've all heard about. There's one in Issaquah and there's one in Aurora, which have been opened. And then yesterday they opened the Kent one. So we're finding that a lot of families that have been exposed are now needing to quarantine because some of the families live in multi-generations. And so if somebody in the family gets COVID, they can't be with the rest of the family. So we're having some whole families moving into these quarantine sites while we are waiting for them to recuperate from COVID or to get their positive or negative COVID results. So anyway, that's going to continue to be the big deal. Every day we get your newspaper. Do you all know about the COVID dashboard where you can get on every day what the data is? And it has several tabs at the top, so you can slice and dice the information the way you want it. So, I was just looking at it before we got on today, and today's we're talking. It shows very clearly the number of hospitalizations, and it said our hospitalization rate is at 71%, which is in the good range. So that's good news. It's in the good range. And I have felt all along that the hospitals were put in the dilemma that in hindsight, at the time I didn't think was right either, but I think hindsight has proven that the hospitals called early on and said, we have day surgeries that we could be doing and getting people in and out of the hospital safely. And then if there were an onslaught of COVID, we just wouldn't do the day surgeries, but we should still be able to do those. And for a while, they were not allowed to do the surgeries to keep the number, I think it was below 58%. But I thought it should be much higher than that while there wasn't an onslaught. And, the onslaught didn't come to the degree that they thought. So a lot of our hospitals are hurting financially because the surgeries that they make their profits on have not happened. But worse than that is that a lot of people have put off medical care that is important and that should not have been put off. So I think after COVID, we're going to have some issues that people are going to be having to deal with because of that. There's also, if you know any business leaders, we have a kingcounty.gov/local business help. And that is where you can call, and I'll give you the phone number, 206-331-3275. And within 2 business days, somebody will call you back and give you just business help on, what should I do with this or what should I do about that? And so there's a lot of uncertainties for businesses, but this local business help has done a really good job of getting prepared to answer a lot of the questions. And then you have great chambers, both the Issaquah Chamber and the Snoqualmie Chamber have done phenomenal work in coordinating, listening, sharing. I know for a fact that that both of those chambers gave out thousands of masks because I dropped them off to them. So I know that they gave out lots and lots of masks to help the community get started. But they also put together a toolkit early on to help businesses with, what can they do to deal with all the other regulations that were from the governor's office. Have you read any of the regulations that came out of the governor's office for any particular businesses? Some of you have. Let's just say they were voluminous. And when people are stressed, they've got their kids at home and they're trying to teach and they're trying to do other things. They're trying to keep their business afloat. And then they get a voluminous amount of instructions on what to do. It was very disconcerting. So the chambers really stepped in and did an amazing job to help sort through all of that. So, and as you know, we're getting more and more information. And yesterday, the governor announced the new app that you can turn on so that you can know if you just passed somebody that it was COVID positive. And so you get to choose on and off of that on your cell phone. So I looked it up on my cell phone yesterday and sure enough, there it is. Have you seen that on your app on your phone? Okay. So Yeah, it's got a little star next to it in red, so you can see if you want to be notified. So anyway, I make sure I wear my mask and follow all the public health directives. So it's had quite an impact, as we all know, and the new restrictions are supposed to be in effect until December 14th. So you asked, how will we know? And since none of us have a crystal ball, and we are waiting to see if there's an uptake from the people that traveled over Thanksgiving. So if you watch the dashboard on a daily basis and look at the percentage of positives going up, that is where we will be able to see whether or not we will be out from under these restrictions. So, the media is doing an amazing job of letting us know what the daily infection rate is, and we need to be way lower than we are. So hopefully we will be able to have fewer restrictions, but I'm not going to lay money on that because of the fact that a lot of people did do a lot of traveling over the holiday. So,
Kathy, could I interrupt a second?
sure.
Is that dashboard, is that a county one or a state one?
Yes.
Do you have that?
Yes, you just go on kingcounty.gov,
Okay.
public health, and then it'll take you to the dashboard. And
I put the link in the,
every day except for on the weekends, and then they're adjusted on Monday for the weekend counts.
Okay.
So it's lots of great information on there. And they have also started putting it on by ethnicity, by age. And in the paper, I especially like how they show what age groups are more prevalent in getting the virus, and then what is the demise rate in each of those categories. So you can get a pretty good idea.
I know I was taking a risk.
You can also go to kingcounty.gov/COVID, and that'll give you a lot more information too. How many of you are on my Facebook page or on my broadcast page to get my newsletter every 2 weeks? You do? Okay, great, Scott. If you don't get my broadcast or my Facebook, I have a Facebook page that we upload something every day, and then the broadcast comes out twice a month, and it gives all kinds of information that could be helpful. So if you're interested in either one of those, just email me at kathy.lambert@kingcounty.gov and say that you'd like to be on either one or both of those, and just give your name, address, and phone number, and we will get you that information. And God, I hope you found it to be useful. I know I asked my staff before COVID to print out one particular copy for me, and my staff said, "Why do you want this printed out?" And I said, "Because I need this weekend." There was a series of detours, and I said, "I'm going to be out in the valley, and I need to know exactly which roads are detoured roads before I get there. So I'm going to have it in my car, so I'll have it." And my staff started laughing. "Even you can use this information." I go, "Absolutely." So anyway, it's helpful. So we have done 5 budgets of COVID this year, and then the regular budget for the 2-year budget, which we just passed on November 17th, it is $12.58 billion for 2 years. So we are on a 2-year budget, which is great because in the old days, people used to try to spend their money by the end of the year so they wouldn't lose it. Well, now you don't need to do that. You have your budget for the 2 years, and you can make sure that you don't run out a lot easier and do a lot better planning. So we will have a supplemental budget coming again in probably the end of January. And so whatever adjustments need to be made to the budget, if there are any, that we will be able to do that in January. One of the things that I am looking for, and Leroy already mentioned it, is that we're doing a study right now on what are the permitting issues? How many permits are we behind and what category, so that we can make some adjustments early next year. So I'm hoping that there will be reinforcements early next year. The other thing that I am very concerned about that I wanted to tell you about in this budget, and it came down to the very last day, as a matter of fact, confidentially, although we're being recorded, I told my staff to write two speeches. One, if I voted yes on the budget, and one if I voted no. And they're like, oh, okay. So there were two things that were very important that weren't in the budget till the very end. One was the sheriff's search and rescue helicopter. And as you know, there have been a lot of people out in our area that come out without knowing the essential 10 things to have in their backpack, and they get lost because they think that their GPS will work in the middle of the forest. And so they don't need a compass, they don't need a map, they'll just use the GPS. Well, as we all know, there's no GPS up there, or very little places where you can get GPS. So we have had a great increase in the numbers of search and rescues. And we currently have 4 pilots, and they wanted to take it down to 2 pilots. And there are times when we don't have enough pilots with 4, but it's rare. But even there, it's stretched. But to go down to 2 pilots, if one's on vacation and one gets sick, we have 0 pilots. And so searches and rescues without a pilot is not a good thing. Most people don't realize that our search and rescue unit is all volunteer. Did you know that? They're all volunteers. So they don't get King County money to pay them for all their hours. They have jobs like everybody else. And when the search is called, they leave their jobs and go out and help with the searches. So it's really important that these people be able to find, for their own health and safety, the people that are lost or in danger as quickly as possible. So getting that helicopter was very important. And one of the council members commented several times that the helicopter was a needless expense, that actually the county employees needed another holiday instead. And that was just kind of spellbinding to me, that at a time like this, we would be thinking about holidays when we're comparing it to search and rescue or many other things. So it was a challenging budget because of that dichotomy of thinking. The other thing was a program called Radar, which is a mental health counselor that goes out with the sheriff's department to help when there is a mental health need or a drug impacted person needing some special care. So I had worked 2 years ago to start the pilot project, which started in the North County, and I wanted it this year to go countywide. And it was the thing before last to get added to the budget. So it did get added, and I meet with the sheriff on Wednesday to start working about how that will be. As you know, the 2 charter amendments, 5 and 6, both passed. So after next year, we will not have an elected sheriff. We will have an appointed sheriff, and that will be the executive and council picking a new sheriff. So that is one thing, but number 6 was the one I was most concerned about, and that is that we do not need to follow state law on what are the duties of the sheriff. And so I was concerned, so I went to the RCW and read what the duties were, and they were very, very basic. And for instance, I will go to court, I will serve processes, I will serve warrants, I will arrest people that break laws. Very basic. That was 4 out of the 6. I will stop rioting, and I don't remember the 6th one, but very, very basic. And so during the debate, we said, well, what part of this do you not want? Because they're so basic that I think we should continue to do as every other county in the state to obey state law. Because we are a home rule charter, we have the option of organizing in pursuit of the RCW, pertaining to the RCW, or we can have our own. So that is going to be the one next year that is going to be the most interesting, is how do we define what are the duties of the sheriff? And so that's something that you, I hope, will keep an eye on as they make those decisions, because while not all of you live in unincorporated areas, you are near them and could have something happen in the unincorporated areas. But also there is a interoperations agreement where the city police and the sheriff collaborate with each other. And where we have cities that are contract cities, which are actually sheriff's deputies on loan to the cities in a collaborative effort, we are able to do a lot of things together on the same dispatch system. So there's a lot of good safety in that. And I want to make sure the system stays intact. So if you're on my broadcast list and that debate starts to need help, I will definitely have it out there so that I can ask people to call in and give information about what you think about that. Are there any questions?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, that's what I was going to say. Are there any questions on that?
So this is interesting. When I first read about this, I was like, what? So just maybe you can explain it, but here you have a position of a sheriff, and traditionally the sheriffs used to run the jail systems, and obviously my dad was a deputy sheriff for 20-something years, who was voted in by the people every time they're voted in. But now the county has taken that and said that the council and the executive will choose a person and put them in there. I don't understand the reasoning behind that. It just seems like if you're taking that position away from the people electing somebody and then putting it in the hands of how many people? 13?
No, we're 9 now. We used to be 13, but the jail guards got mad at us because we didn't give them some money that they wanted. So they ran a petition to reduce us from 13 to 9.
You got defunded?
Pardon?
You got defunded?
We got reduced from 13 to 9 in a charter change a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, there's 9 of us now, and the executives, there's 10 that will make that decision. And the interesting thing is that most of the work of the sheriff is done in the unincorporated areas or the contract cities. And probably somewhere between 58 and 80% of the money is in that area. It depends on what you're counting in and not counting in. So there's a range of what's being counted and what's not being counted. But it's safe to say that over half of the money that comes into the King County coffers are from contract cities. And so they should be the ones to talk about what services do they want for their communities. And currently that is what they do. And they then tell the sheriff, I want so many hours of this kind of patrol. I want a gang unit so many hours. I want a DV unit. I want some helicopter if I need it. I want to load this. And then the sheriff says, okay, this is what it'll cost you. And so that's how each city then gets the kind of policing that they want. Up until 2 years ago, there was no local services department in King County. And you could not find almost any document that said local and regional government. And almost every single document I had to amend to add the word local. And there was nobody that was really local, other than the few of us that represented local. So we eventually got the Department of Local Services started, which has now been functioning for 2 years. And they're doing a phenomenal job of actually focusing on the unincorporated area and doing things to help people. And with a real heart for servant leadership, that what do the people need and how can we help make things happen? So I am very impressed with the employees that are working in the Department of Local Services. So they will contract with the sheriff on, what kind of services do we want in the unincorporated area. And as I've talked to the city managers, mostly they say, if there's anything we want more time from our deputies, because they are an integral part of our community and keeping safety. One of the debates that came up this last week was that one of the council members said, we want to get rid of all school resource officers. Nope, no more school resource officers. That we think that they are a contributing factor to the school to prison pipeline, and we want to get rid of them. And I had to say, I'm sorry, that is a premise that I do not agree with. That I'm the only one on this council that ever had an SRO in my classroom for 10 years. And I will tell you that he was the most popular guy on campus. And because I worked at a school that was across the street from a prison, I had many students whose family were there at the prison, and many things were happening in their lives, not always good. And I had many students say to me, Mrs. Lambert, Officer Steve was at my house this weekend, and when I saw Officer Steve, I knew I'd be okay. So having that relationship with the local officer was very comforting, and there were many times where students would say to Deputy Steve, Officer Steve, I need to tell you what's happening because I don't know how to handle it. And there were things that needed to be handled. And so having an SRO, I think, is a fabulous thing for the schools, for the kids, for the community. So when you have one group of people saying SROs are bad and another group saying, oh no. So we did get the 2 SROs in the budget, but it was not easy. And I think that that's part of the kind of thing that we're going to have to be debating in the next year is what are the premises, and are the premises for our area the same as downtown Seattle? And many times they are not the same. And it shouldn't be downtown Seattle people making those. You mentioned about the sheriff running the jail. In our county, the sheriff does not run the jail. It's one of the few that it doesn't run the jail. So the executive office runs the jail. We have an appointed director of the jail who used to be a Seattle police officer. He does a fabulous job. So basically the sheriff's office does the helicopters and then does patrol in the unincorporated areas and then contracts out. So the people have chosen to not elect, to let the 10 of us make the decision. I was very sad when I watched Carmen Best's speech. I'm sure you know when I talk about this speech, which speech I'm talking about. Scott's already nodding. When Carmen Best gave the speech, I am so sorry. I did not make the decision to give away the East Precinct. I'm sure you saw that on the news. I'm sure you saw it in the paper. That speech and that look on her face told me that I have great concerns about having an elected official making political decisions about law and justice issues. So we're going to have to be very clear when we write the rules that the elected officials should not be interfering in things like that. That if that is business of the appointed sheriff, then the appointed sheriff should be making those decisions and not be batted around by political decisions. So that was really hard to watch. So that'll be something that as we write the rules, I'm going to be very interested in how we can phrase that, because I do believe, like any profession, that you become an expert in your profession, and it may look easy on the outside. I had somebody tell me being an elected official was easy. All you had to do was say yes or no. And I thought, oh my, you have to know what you're saying yes or no to. So anyway, sometimes things may look easy that aren't. And I truly respect the professionalism of our officers. And I do not want to be interfering in their decisions. As far as policies of, what kinds of things we want them to be aware of. Do we want a domestic violence unit? Do we want a gang unit? Those things, yes. But there was a lot of interfering that I thought went on that was not in the best interest of the city of Seattle. So I want to make sure we don't replicate that as we go forward. Did that answer your question, Jonas?
Yeah, it's actually, yeah, you made me think about some other things that maybe I wouldn't have. But no, thank you.
I have a question. So I live in an unincorporated area, and so perhaps you just answered it. There was some some talking in the background. I may not have heard it. How can we ensure in unincorporated areas that we're still receiving protection from like our police services for our protection, and make sure that the voting body majority, which is held in areas that maybe don't prefer that, but how can we ensure in unincorporated areas that voting majority doesn't take away our services?
So that is the magic question, and yes, that is very important. So we monitor that very carefully, and so we look at the call volume data, we look at the response time data and compare it. So that will be continually monitored. And when there was a time when people said, well, nobody was going to come anyway, so I'm just not going to call 911. And that was really bad because that was very counterproductive because our call volumes went down. And so it was really hard for me to say, but we need more officers, and then look at these really low numbers. So if there is a need or a concern, do call 911. And that way it's logged, we know what's going on, and then we can say, okay, well, the response times were low or the response times were good. And so we will continue to monitor it. And then, like anybody else, it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease, especially in Seattle. And so, coming to council meetings and speaking, they're easy to do because they're on Zoom. And the fourth Tuesday of the month, we have open testimony. So you can, dial in and say, these are my concerns, and I really want you to be aware that our safety is important, and we want to make sure that we have the assistance that we want, and that when we get a new officer in our area, I always go visit with them to tell them that, especially if they've been in a city like Seattle, where you may have 20 or 30 car prowls in a night, that becomes the norm. And I always tell them that in my district, one car prowl is a crime trend, and people have zero tolerance for crime in this district. And it doesn't take too long before the officers tell me what a pleasure it is to patrol in our area, because people are very forthcoming with their cameras or making sure they took a video of something so that they can solve crimes. One of the things we're having problems right now is people abandoning their vehicles and such. And for a while, we had so many of them, we didn't have any place to put them. So if you see vehicles that have been abandoned, please let us know. But also, please be patient because it's difficult. People don't want the metal out of them anymore, and so the market to getting rid of them is much more difficult than it used to be. And so, anyway, that seems to be the one thing that we're having problems with right now. But everything else seems to be in good working order, and we will continue to monitor. There are so many policemen that are leaving Seattle right now. They've had over 200 policemen leave Seattle this year, and many of them have applied in our area, Pierce County, Spokane. Some of my friends that are commissioners in other parts of the county are saying, Lambert, thank you so much for helping to train these officers that now we get to have the benefit of their training. to outfit an officer and put them through training, which, let me ask you, how long do you think it takes to put an officer through training so that they can be left alone on the streets? How long do you think that takes?
With Academy backup, about 8 months.
About 8 months. Okay. Anybody else think?
I would say 1 year.
1 year. Okay. What do you think? Come on, Steve, give me an answer.
I feel like it's going to be bigger than that. I feel like you're setting us up here. I know how long it takes me to train a lineman. It takes us 4 years to get them outfitted, and we pay a lot to get there. So I'm going to go somewhere in between, like 2 years.
Plus 18
I'll
months.
say 2 years.
Yeah, it costs 18 months. And guess what it costs from beginning to end to put a fully trained officer on the street?
100,000?
Let's go with 250 grand.
Okay, good job, you guys. You got the bookends. $150,000. So to lose 200 officers times $150,000 is a big deal. That's the fiscal end of it. And of course, losing good officers is tough. It's a job that nobody goes into to be having themselves hit over the head with baseball bats and bricks thrown at them. As many of you probably have heard, my dad was a policeman in San Francisco for many years and was night chief for a while. And so I had policemen at my house constantly and got to hear very in-depth stories from a very early age, which used to make my mother crazy, that you shouldn't be talking about stories like that in front of a child. But when I became a legislator and we had to do laws on gambling and prostitution, I knew more than most people in the room. And they were like, how do you know all this stuff? I said, well, if you sit around with a bunch of policemen when you're 6 years old, you can learn a lot. So anyway, it's a big deal. And people who go into that profession go into it because they want to serve and they want to be helpful. And so to be treated with such little respect and what they dealt with during the mob scenes and the riots was just very difficult. So anyway, let's see, what else would anybody like to know about? Otherwise, I'll go back to my speech. What else would you like to know about? All right. Well, let's talk about roads. Roads is one of my passions. We have a $40 billion asset, and we do not have the money to take care of it. And that's because of the formula that's set by the state government. And so they don't set the formula right. And so one of the things that I'm asking, and I've been working closely with Representative Ramos, who is totally in agreement with what I'm saying. So I'm hoping that he will be very helpful. We need to change the formula so that we will get money that is commensurate. Some of the things that they do when they pick formulas, for instance, they will say center lane miles, or they will say lane miles. So when you're in a city, you can have 4 lanes. When you're in the unincorporated area, you can only have 2 lanes. So if you go lane miles, we always have half as many, therefore we don't qualify for any money. So it's little teeny things like that that have huge impact on whether we get the money or not. So at this point, we're expecting 35 bridges to be closed or weight bearing by the year 2040. And 75 miles will be let to go back potentially to gravel by the year 2040. That's coming before we know it. So I am very concerned about that. Many of you were here probably when the Tolt Bridge had to be closed. Do you remember that when the Tolt Bridge had to be closed? That was sort of a nightmare. Just seeing my reaction when they came in to tell me the bridge was going to have to be closed. And that potentially could fall down. Oh, that's not happy news today. So we got that fixed. But the Upper Tokel Bridge near Snoqualmie, the Ames Lake Bridge near Redmond, the Bering Bridge near Skykomish, and others will be being repaired. The one report I absolutely hate to see every quarter is the bridge status reports, where it shows how how many safety points the bridge has and how much life the bridge has in it and the age of the bridge. So a bridge lifespan is supposed to be 50 years. And we have bridges that are over 80 years old. And that is not a good thing. So that formula really needs to be changed. So as you see legislators, talking to them about how are you going to get money into the unincorporated area roads by formula, I think is really important. And today, again, we got our legislative agenda, and you can see the tape from this morning, this afternoon, I guess, this afternoon. I had to say, we have this report going to the legislature, and it says we need transit and we need affordable housing, but it doesn't talk about anything about roads. The word roads is not even on this page. So hopefully it'll get added before next Tuesday, but it doesn't get the priority that it should, because most of the roads are in the unincorporated, well, all the roads that we have to take care of. And there are 1,500 miles of roads that belong to the county. And because of the way annexations were done, when many of the annexation areas were made into cities, some of the roads stayed with the county. So we still pay for the roads, but the tax base of the houses are now in the city. So we tried to get that fixed a couple of years ago, and the cities were less than pleased. Let's just put it that way. They were less than pleased. So we still own 1,500 miles of roads. So that's a big deal. If anybody wants to write letters to their legislators, what are you going to do about unincorporated area roads so that they don't close those bridges or have the bridges continue to be falling apart? We did put $8 million into road preservation for this next year's budget, and so that's important. Let's see, we also, you're close enough to the Preston Athletic Fields. Do you all know where they are, the Preston Athletic Fields? Okay. So that is going to get new drainage and curbing, and then around the corner, the Preston Mill is also going to be getting some work this year. Do you know who Jim Ellis is? Does everybody know who Jim Ellis is? So Jim Ellis was sort of the father of a lot of environmental things in this area. He did the forward thrust movement to clean Puget Sound and to build pools and do all kinds of stuff. So he is revered by many for all of his good work and negotiating and a lot of good things. He grew up during the summers in Fall City in a darling cabin that his family still owns. And he used to play at the Preston Mill Park. And so he and I walked through that park many times, and the history of what goes on in that park. And so I'm hoping this year that park will get a facelift and be beautiful. That is my goal, that by the end of 2021, barring more COVID issues, that we'll have a beautiful Preston Mill Park. And Pearl Moore, who played with him when they were children in that park, has just turned 103. And we would like her to be there to throw the first basketball in the basketball hoop to commemorate her childhood there with Jim Ellis and the things that happened in that park, which was the place where the largest logs in pretty much the West Coast came to be milled. And so it's a historic place. Okay, any other questions? All right.
Kathy.
Yes.
This is Jonas.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much. That was a lot of information.
And you only got to page 6. It could be worse.
Yeah. But I do have a question for you, because I know earlier you had mentioned about the face masks that were given out by the chamber. Well, I know that you were instrumental in that. And I am just going to put this out there because I should. We have a coat, well, we call it the winter wear drive. And due to COVID, it's, we're restricted on only giving new items. And in fact, Saturday we have people can actually drive by 2 of our locations.
Friday and Saturday.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Jody.
Saturday. We do have drop-off boxes, and we have drive-through. I mean, I'll go to your house and pick it up. So, but I know that, you know, you are in the inside of all this stuff. So if you know anything about anybody needing to get rid of new stuff, you just let us know, okay?
Okay. So do you have enough masks?
You know, it wouldn't, if we could get masks to hand out with the coats and gloves and socks.
It's a good
and stuff,
idea.
That's a great idea.
How many are you thinking of? How many masks?
We have no idea. We're blasting it through social media and other avenues, but we have no
Whatever we
idea
can
how many
get.
people are going to
I
come.
mean,
Yeah.
I would say no more than, I mean, are these the paper masks?
No, those are the ones made by Heinz, the white. And they're made of like a 2-ply t-shirt.
Oh, you know, is 100, is that too many or?
Afterwards, give me your address and we can make sure you've got 100 of them.
That would be awesome to be able to give that with the supplies.
So there's also a lady that has given out now 15,000 tons of food. And she's been in Snoqualmie a couple of times. And so she goes around to different cities, but she needs places where she can be hosted. So, and Snoqualmie police have been delightful in North Bend because, you know, she'll have 1,000, 1,500 cars show up to get food. And it is unbelievable. They have this very elaborate system where they drive up in twos and they tell you how many people in their family through the, you know, the people can't get out of the car. On the other side of the car, they tell you how many family, they pop the hood, and then they get the food in various stations. So you get your food, they load it in the trunk, and then you drive down and then they load it, and then they load it, and then you go out. And so it's a very fast process. But when you're talking about loading 1,000 to 1,500 cars in a couple of hours, it takes a lot of person power to be able to do that. But 15,000 tons of food since March is amazing. And it was part of the East-West food recovery, where the farmers in the East realized that they couldn't sell all that food. And so they worked with Department of Ag to bring that food over here, and so that we can be eating it. So
I spoke with her, and we were trying to get them a dump truck from the city of Snoqualmie to bring some of that over. This was early stages. This was probably April, May. You're right. The East-West Rescue or something, I think it's called. And they even did a drone video of all the trucks going over, because all the spoiled, not spoiled, but the food that was going to spoil.
Right.
They would get the potatoes and onions and bring it over. So amazing. I mean, that's the kind of thinking you have to have in this environment.
Well, let me see if I can show you a picture she sent me last week, if I can find it real quick, of just what's going on. It is phenomenal. So she puts out every week, well, a couple times a week, this flyer. Let me see if you can see it. Let me get it right. Can you see the flyer okay? And so it always looks like that. So she has kind of a branded logo of where she's going to be for people to come pick up the food. And then the lines just go on and on and on. So let's see, let me get you some.
Well, you know what, Kathy? We were gonna we have a beer trailer. Well, we use it for beer. We were gonna let them use that to store because they were gonna get milk and things like that. And Officer Rob owned it at the time, who's on this call, and then we bought it from Officer Rob. But remember Leroy? They were having issues getting the electricity hooked up or something.
Yeah, I think it had to do with power, the power issue that they had. Yeah.
You see the cars all lined up there?
Oh, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And she does an awesome job. And, the people are very thankful. And I told the county I want some of our employees to go out and observe how she does it, because I didn't get into the details. But it is so kind, so amazing. The intricacies of some of the things that she does, that I wanted our people to learn, so that should there ever be an earthquake or some mass pandemic, that that we would replicate what she is doing, because it's just phenomenal. So, but when recently we had to deal with the fact we need porta potties, so that was a new thing in the last couple of weeks. But we also need to have the police with us, so that they can direct traffic, because when you get that many cars in that short a period of time, the people have been really good about, waiting, because it turns out a lot of them have been there before, so they know it doesn't take forever. And it's so respectful, we do need to have the traffic and the neighbors to be aware that this is a short-term thing, and the importance of making sure that people have food and good food. The food was amazing. So anyway, she's doing a great thing, and I'm sure she can use more helpers, because I think she said she needed 40 workers a day to distribute the food.
And I also know that they were bagging, they needed help bagging the food too.
Yes.
This was early. I mean, this was seriously like April when this started. And she was just putting together, getting the caravans to go over there. So I'll definitely reach out to her again and see if there's opportunities there. But fortunately, there's opportunities everywhere. That's the problem.
Well, and the Snoqualmie Valley Network is amazing, and the I Love Snoqualmie is also amazing. And then the network for seniors that has been formed between Issaquah, Carnation, and North End. They formed what's called the Senior Hub. And so they are now working in this amazing partnership to make sure that seniors can get almost any service that they need. If not through them, they will help arrange it to make sure that the seniors get the services they need. And also, I talked to the president of the YWCA the other day, and she said that all of their classes are online free right now. Not all of them. Many of her classes are online free. The ones that I was looking at were all free. And those were the ones that were for seniors to have online video conversations with other seniors, because so many of the seniors have been in congregate settings where they can't really get out. And so they need another person to talk to, like we all do, if we don't have a lot of people to talk to. So they have online coffee times. So, and they're free. So anybody in the entire county can.
Is that all of the YMCAs or just our local?
It's all of them, because it's online. So
Okay.
It's through Seattle. So if you go on the Seattle Y page, you said they have hundreds of things going on, and many of them are free, but those are free.
Yeah, I was just thinking about for seniors. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Monica's famous on TikTok.
Who is?
That's how
Good job, Monica.
Yeah, Monica's always doing those hip hop dance moves on TikTok. So Kathy, Carla Russell is on this call with us, and she's with the Snoqualmie Valley Community Network. And you're right, that they are amazing, and we're so lucky that we live in this. We have people
But as a
fighting over
senior,
to help each other.
I need that program so I can call up for help if I need to and talk to people. It's wonderful.
And I
Because
think
I
that
live alone and I'm a senior.
You're not a senior.
I think it's beautiful that you share that, because it tells everybody that we all need somebody sometimes. And to have somebody you can just get online and talk to that potentially feeling the exact thing you're feeling, and form friendships because you now have something in common. And a lot of us that are over age, we have grandchildren. And so you have plenty of things to talk about, whether it's grandkids or memories or history. And so, yeah, get on the ywca.org, I think she said, webpage, and look at the online opportunities. And she said they're available to everybody. You don't have to be living in Seattle. They're on the web. So it would give you opportunities to do that. And being that they're free is really special because not everybody can afford it. So that's really exciting.
Awesome. Well, we're at an hour and 6 minutes, and I know you probably have your 14th Zoom call to get to.
I have another 7:30. How did you know?
Are you serious? I've been on the phone all day, and I'm losing my voice. I don't know how you're doing.
Lots of tea. Lots and lots of tea.
Well, does anybody else have any questions? We'll wrap this up, and I do want to say thank you. That's a lot of information, but I know that I shared your bio webpage on the government, so I know how good you are about responding, with people giving you emails and stuff like that. And I'll try to decipher some of this, not decipher, but push out some of this information, links and stuff you provided to the group as well.
That'd be great. Also, you know what? I may actually send you the whole speech that I was supposed to give, but because it's got all the links in it. So that would help you.
Okay.
There's a lot of links, and that would make it a lot easier for you to cut and paste than having to, you can supplement with what I said in addition, but I'll send that to you. What is your email?
You could, here, I'll just put it right here.
In the chat, good. All right, I'll get it to you, and then, yeah, and then also in there, it says how to get on my website for the broadcast and also for my Facebook page. So
now, can we just go on your Facebook page and join?
You know, I don't do that, so I'm not sure. I send the email to my staff and they take care of it.
Okay.
It's a multi-step process that is something that they do. So yeah, that'd be great. Well, I'm so appreciative that you spent the time tonight to learn more about what's going on, and that as we go forward, there will be a lot of things in this next year as we deal with COVID, as we deal with redefining what the sheriff does do or doesn't do, and how the money is spent in the county. And so I'm always painfully honest about what I think, because I want people to know what's really happening, not just what people are saying is happening, but what's really happening, so that you can get in on the ground floor and have some impact on changing those things that aren't in our best interest or aren't accurate for our area and our value system. So I had a video in October of 2018 talking about how I was very concerned about the condition of the city of Seattle. And much like the broken window theory, that if you let the windows be broken, that things will get worse downhill. And of course, we all know now what Seattle looks like. So, I think it's important of what it is that we want in our community. And when you see what I Love Snoqualmie Valley has done, it is just amazing how they met each other's needs and are continuing to do so. So we're lucky to live where we are, and we have great people, and I'm available. Now you know where I am, Leroy.
That's right, I do.
Yeah, and I won't run and hide. So.
I'm coming to see you.
Good. I will look forward to that. And but be prepared. I may put you to work testifying.
All right.
Okay.
Done a little bit of that.
Okay. And Monica, I can't wait to see you on Facebook or on the seniors, and I hope you have a really good time on getting to know some new people on the video cafe. That would be great.
It's just YMCA seniors.
Yes, if you just Bing or Google YMCA classes, it'll come up.
Monica, I can help you with that because the Y up here is doing those classes online, and they're always looking for content. So we'll videotape you on your bicycle.
Jonas always has to help me, or else Nia. I get no, Nia, please help on the computer.
That's great. Well, I know the North Bend the North Bend Senior Center, I guess Carnation Senior Center, is going to be hiring some technology people to help seniors learn how to get online so that they can spend more time with each other and with their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, which I think is
that's great. Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's good. You've given a very informative talk. I've enjoyed it, listening to all the stuff that's going on.
Thank you. It is a busy, busy time, always.
Yeah.
You definitely represent us out here in the sticks well and are steward for our valley, so we really appreciate it.
That's right. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a good night. And
Everybody.
Leroy, when we meet, I'm going to have to show you a picture of my husband's best friend, Tom, because you guys could be brothers, easy.
Oh.
Yeah. Although Tom has let his beard go down to his navel right now, so it won't look exactly the same. But yeah, you look very much alike. So I'll joke. Oh, Tom's here.
Just another handsome guy.
I know.
Poor guy.
That encouraging note. Have a great
night, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
See you all.
Good night.
Bye.
You can join me at my next meeting. All right. Bye. Bye.